Good evening, Malaysia and followers from around the world. Tonight, we have with us Nora Abu Hassan. She's an author, social activist, speaker, and a motivator. Nora is the author of the book Born to Smile, which is Malaysia's first memoir about life with a cleft lip and palate. It is an inspiring story of Nora spending her early years dealing with facial deformity, multiple surgeries, school bullies, and how to put up with pains and humiliation of growing. This is the story of a courageous woman. And in conjunction with International Women's Day, she's here to share her incredible story, her incredible journey. So please welcome Nora. Nora, I'm so pleased to have you on board. Do you share with us your story? And of course, this book, which I have read, I didn't put it down from the first page onwards. Okay, so do tell us about your book, why you decided to write this book, and of course about your journey.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Firstly, I would like to say thank you to you, Datuk Sri,
RealChunWai.
Chunwai, for having me here. It is such a privilege, and I feel very humbled in you giving me the opportunity and believing in Born to Smile and my mission. Um, okay, you asked me this now.
Yes,
Why did I decide to write the book?
yes.
All right, now while I was growing up, you see, when we have a cleft lip and palate, the repair or the revision, it's again, like I said, it's repair and revision. So
Okay.
I myself had to go for about 8 to 10 surgeries to
Wow.
repair my cleft lip and my cleft palate. And when we have a cleft lip and palate, we will also affect your nose. So your nose will also be somewhat, not not the same shape as somebody not having a cleft lip and palate. So while I was growing up, okay, my first surgery was at 3 months
Wow.
baby, and my last surgery was about when I was 30 years old. So again, the process is gradual. Yeah. So when I was growing up, having the repair but not the revision. Because revision, usually the plastic surgeons will only do the revision at 17 years and above. I went through a lot of emotional abuse, people calling me names and bullies, and I wanted to actually pick up a book as to understand what was going on in the mind of a person having a cleft lip and palate. And there were occasions where I used to go to the bookstores. At that time, there was not, Amazon and all that, right? So you just go to the bookstores and tak ada buku yang okay, life, love, cleft lip and palate. But there are books on, cancer
Yeah.
victims or, sexual abuse victims or domestic abuse victims. Um, when I already understood and accepted this is my birth destiny, I'm okay now. Even though I had to go through the journey of self healing and self actualization, I asked myself, okay, what else is next? Maybe, maybe a family that's afflicted with the cleft lip and palate, maybe a child that's afflicted with the cleft lip and palate, maybe an adult or a teenager may just find the book useful. Okay. But I know now there are a lot of the adults and a lot of the parents out there that are very positive
Yeah.
about a cleft lip, because initially I did not belong to a social group, but
Mhm.
after I did the book I went into a social group, and there are many positive parents out there. So I salute to all of you. So my intended purpose of doing the book was to give motivation and to give hope and inspiration to those having a CLP, that you know what, it is
Mhm.
okay.
Mhm.
It is what God has given us, accept it as our birth destiny. And also I wanted to have a message about anti-bully, anti-discrimination, and anti-stigma because of my own personal experiences. But again, I'm saying that maybe perhaps those adults that had a CLP children are not going through it, but this is my own journey and my own story. Because we all
Nora,
have different, experiences. And yes, please.
Nora, when we talk about cleft lip, of course, we can understand it quite clearly. It's a physical deformity. What do we understand by palate? How is it affected?
Okay. Okay. There are four variations of CLP.
Mhm.
Okay. One is the person, their lip is split,
Okay.
but the palate is okay.
Mm.
That's cleft lip.
Okay.
The other second variation is a cleft palate. Okay, that means that palate is broken into two. But
Mhm.
if you look outside, the lip is okay. So I've met one or two adults that they have a cleft palate, but when you look at them in the front, they're okay. But
Mhm.
when they speak, they do have a nasal tone.
Mhm.
Because why? When they were younger, they didn't had the opportunity to go for speech
I
therapy.
see.
Okay. The third condition is a unilateral cleft lip and palate, which I have, which there is a split in the in the on the lip, in the palate going through your nose. So your nose is also affected, the shape and all that. The fourth condition is a bilateral cleft lip and palate where you have two splits
I see.
on your lip and inside your palate. So
Mm.
uh, people who are born with a cleft palate, unilateral cleft lip and palate, bilateral cleft lip and palate would have a situational problem with speaking, because when you speak, the air comes out through your nose,
I
and
see.
that's where you have the nasal tone, or in the
Yes.
terms of bahasa Melayu, sengau.
Mm.
So when I do, talks, I always advise the parents of the newborn, when they're having their newborn babies, that please go and get the children to a speech therapy, because I also went for about 1.5 of speech therapy.
Mhm. Nora, it was only after I read your book that I realized that this is not just a physical problem, but I didn't realize that it is also a disabled problem in the sense that you will have problems even drinking milk,
Mm.
speaking, and you could not even swim because of ear infections. It was really new to me.
Oh, okay. No, actually, a cleft lip and palate is not disabled. Yeah, we are actually normal, but this is an alienated case of a cleft lip and palate. But we all have the same mindset, the same capacity,
Mhm.
as somebody that doesn't have a cleft lip and palate. But if a child or a baby does not go and repair their broken palate, as
Yeah.
you can imagine, the palate is actually broken into two, or even a bilateral into three, right? So when you feed, um, milk will go through your palate and into your nose, and it will come out. So in the book, I did say that my mother, before the cleft palate repair, she had to actually, feed me with a like a straw light, or you call it a pipette. I cannot
Mhm.
feed through the normal bottle. But now they have got special bottles. Now we're talking about,
Mhm.
2020s, but I was born in 1960s, and at that time the availability of bottles were not yet available, so she had to use the best option at that time. Yeah, so it does affect the the food that goes into our mouth, because it will come out from the nose. Yeah,
Yeah.
and also because of the uh the abnormality, or whatever you call it, the nose into your ear tubes, there
Mhm.
is, I mean, I'm not a plastic surgeon, I'm
Sure.
not a doctor, so I may not go into that
Sure.
into detail, but I had recurring ear infection because when I was a child I enjoyed swimming,
Mhm.
and I realized that that I always had the ear infection. So at that time, the ENT advised my mother not to bring her for swimming. But again, maybe now, of course, it's different.
Sure.
Technology is more advanced, doctors are more advanced, and it's not like dulu-dulu punya time lah,
Yeah.
kan?
You devoted a large part of your book on growing up in school, the tormenting, the bullying. Share with us that difficult period when you had to be in school. Your fellow schoolmates were teasing you. Obviously, that it was a difficult period.
Admittedly, it was a difficult period because I only knew that I was, born with a CLP when I started going to school at the age of 6.5 to 7. And like I said, this is the 1970s,
Yeah.
yeah. And there would be some children that would call me names, and it was very hurtful.
Yep. Yep.
It was very hurtful. Again, let me emphasize that when you have a cleft lip and palate, I said earlier on, the work of the plastic surgeon is segmentalized into two parts, which is the repair and the revision. So the repair would just repair the basic lip, the cleft lip and the palate, but the revision work or the refinement work will be done only later. So from the age of 7 to 17, I had my repair, but it was not refined. So my nose was, slightly,
Sure.
the upper was sunken. And at that time, obviously, when you go to school, you cannot
Yes.
wear cover stick. Even now, if I don't wear a cover stick, people can still see my scars because in
Mm.
1960s, the work
Yeah.
now is different than
Yes.
now. I mean, the refinement work, the scar work now is amazing. You cannot even see the
Mm.
scar.
Mhm.
So when you go into school having a prominent scar on your
Yeah.
upper lip, then people will say, oh, okay, and your lip, okay, because I had to go for several, refinement
Sure.
on the lip as well. So the lip was somewhat slightly different. Yeah. So you would recall names. I mean,
Yes.
on the hindsight, when I think about it, I don't really blame the children for calling me names because they are kids.
Yeah.
They don't know better. That is why when I talk, I always stress to the parents out there that I think anti-bullying
Yeah.
awareness should start from home, where
Yes.
we as parents should educate our children not to look down upon
Yeah.
anybody, regardless of anything. I mean,
Right.
people don't bully people just for a CLP. We know that bullying can happen to anybody,
Yes.
not
Yes.
just people born with a CLP.
Yes.
So, so I'm very concerned about the bullying that's happening right now because, as you know, it still does happen. Social bullying, physical bullying, cyberbullying,
Yeah. It could be
social
even worse
bullying.
now. The cyberbullying is even worse because the reach is even greater.
And the question is why?
Yeah.
Why do
And
they do that?
and that
Very interesting topic.
the bullies can now hide behind anonymity, which aggravate the situation. Now, interestingly, you share your experience of being bullied in school, but as you went overseas, you mentioned that in UK, the friendship and the tolerance that was shown to you was much better. There was, if I'm not mistaken, except for I think there was a brief moment when you mentioned about your experience at a school concert. Virtually, they treated you very nicely and very kind compared to the Malaysian kids.
Yeah, yeah. I said that in the book. Totally right. I went to follow my father.
Mhm.
He did his MBA in Hull University. So I went to a school called St. Nicholas. So what happened was I stopped halfway my school in Malaysia because
Mhm.
we went to UK middle of 71.
Mhm.
So when I went to UK for 1.5 to 2 years, it's when I recall back, the people there, the kids there were friendly. Nobody said anything unpleasant to me. In Hull, St. Nicholas. But when I came back to Malaysia and started going to schools in Malaysia, At that time, my father decided to put me in Ugama school
Mm-hmm.
and in the Kebangsaan school. So it depends on the semester. Sometimes I will go to Ugama school in the morning and
Mm-hmm.
Kebangsaan in the afternoon or vice versa. And it was a tough time. Then, I was 9 years old plus when I came back to Malaysia after the UK, stint for 1.5 to 2 years. I know you asked me why.
Yeah.
Is it maybe perhaps that's a very good question to answer.
Have we thought about it?
Have I thought about it? Do you think that maybe perhaps the Western people are more accepting?
Perhaps, yeah.
But that was in the 1970s.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
1971 to 73. Or maybe perhaps that, let me just say this, maybe perhaps they educate their children more
Yeah.
about life,
Yeah.
about understanding
Yeah.
people. They are more open in their
Yes.
communication to their
I think
children
so.
about it. Or maybe we as Asian, maybe we don't talk about it. We
Yeah.
keep it under the carpet. Let's not talk about something which is
Yeah.
maybe sensitive, so
Mm.
the children don't understand.
Mm-hmm.
That is something that should be upon the something that we should think. I these are just my thoughts basically.
You know,
But
Nora, you mentioned that, okay. You mentioned in your book that your parents did not talk about it. Okay. Now, um, Asians being Asians, most likely they would not talk about it, even in 2020, I'm sure. Okay. It is just our culture not to express ourselves. Maybe that it will have improved a little bit in maybe in urban families, even if parents do not speak up, kids speak up. Okay. Now, on thinking back, what would you advise to parents, okay, who have kids like yours? Okay, your father did not talk about it. Do you think it was a good idea, or do you think that it wasn't a good idea?
well, if I were to go back to the times during my childhood, growing up and feeling, I mean, in the book, I did say I felt insecure and all that. But again, there are the children now. They are very positive, and
Yeah,
kudos to all of you.
yeah,
I would want my parents to talk about it. I would want my parents to say, Nora, I went to the hospitals with them.
mm-hmm.
They brought me to the hospital and they were amazing. They ensured that I had the best treatment available for me to
Mm-hmm.
treat my situation. But we never really had this heart to heart talk.
Yeah,
You know what, you were born like this and I
yeah,
have to bring you here. Um, I think now when I think about it, I don't blame my
mm-hmm.
parents because but let's ask whether even the Asian parents now, when unpleasant things happen, are we able to talk to our
Yeah,
children about it? I'm not talking about just cleverly and
yeah,
palate. I'm talking about our communication with our children. Or are the Asian parents still being like the older generation? But I think parents are changing now.
yeah,
I've got 3 kids on my own. My first is 30, my second is 28, my youngest is 16. And I try my best to have an open communication with my children, even if you have something that may be a little bit sensitive to your mother to hear. But you know what? Let's talk about it.
yeah,
Let's hear what you have to say. Tell me your feelings. Tell me what you are thinking. I'm talking
yeah.
about now, me as a
Yes,
mother. But during those times, parents don't want to talk about it, especially benda-benda yang sangat-sangat sensitif.
sensitive. Yeah,
Maybe mungkin mereka pun tak tahu macam mana. Mungkin mereka thinking that kalau I
yeah,
cakap, maybe it will hurt her more.
yes,
And
yes,
maybe they don't want, so many things going through. But again, parents now are different. I see the parents on social media. They are putting their pictures of their children and they talk about it. I know mothers. I mean, I met since the book came in the market. I've met a few mothers and they are very positive and they, and talk to the children and what's happening. You know what, you have to go for this and you have to go for that. Tell me, what are you thinking? Tell me, are you being, being maybe bullied at school? So it's more of an open communication, which is amazing.
Yes, I think that your parents meant well. They
Yes.
obviously did not want to talk about it because they did not want to hurt you, or did not want it to be a topic of conversation. They wasn't sure. They wasn't sure how it would lead to.
Yeah.
But it's really good in a sense that now people talk about anti-bullying campaign. I mean, it never existed during my school days. Okay, body shaming was unheard of. Okay,
Mm.
and that and when people talk about racial discrimination now, it's really a big thing. Okay, in the past that it was something that you take it lightly or you actually practice it, okay, in different forms. But it has grown differently. And of course, we ask our kids, what do you think? Okay, what do you think of this? Okay, kids are asked for the opinion because our time was that, okay, the adults are talking, you shut up, stay by the side there, okay? There was a different world then, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I agree with you. Yeah.
Yeah.
Children now are more open. I mean,
Right.
even my kids, if they say that, Mom, I don't like what you're doing, they will just tell me, and I'm there as a mother. Okay, why don't you like me doing this? Etc. But we would never be able to do that with our parents, But I understand
Yeah.
the older generation,
Yeah. Now,
yeah.
I want to move on to okay, from your secondary school, then you went on to university, okay, your college days in UK. Of course, these were the young adult days, okay. You went through the what do you call it, the school prom, you wasn't sure that whether anybody would date you, and that people were you were quite happy that you had Malaysian friends, who really took care of you, make sure you had good food. Now, that is of course another phase of your life. Okay, this growing to a matured woman. How did that deformity affect you then at this point?
You see, I did my first rhinoplasty at 17 years old.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Before I went to my first year university in Armidale,
Mm-hmm.
there was an incident that happened. If people were to read the book, that I decided, you know what, I need to do the rhinoplasty. Okay. Rhinoplasty comes under the revision work. Yeah. So prior to the rhinoplasty, my last operation was at 7 years old, and then the next one was 17, so 10 years. So again, I'm repeating myself. The lip was somewhat different. The nose was not like this. I had the scar. Um, I felt, I felt. Well, please correct me if I say that all women wants to look nice.
Yes.
Ladies, perempuan,
Yes, it's natural.
and it's natural, right?
Yep.
And I wanted to, I wanted to go and improve the way I looked.
Yes.
And that is why when I came back after my year 12 at St. Margaret's in Brisbane,
Mm-hmm.
I told my mother, I said, I want to do the rhinoplasty.
Yeah.
And that's how I landed myself in Dr. Kandaya's plastic surgeon in Jalan Ipoh when I was about 17 plus, before I went to my first year at University of New England.
Mm-hmm. Nora,
Mm.
those were the days when surgeries had to be done in UK, US, now, would it be a cheaper option to do a similar operation in, say, Thailand or Taiwan, perhaps? Korea, okay?
I've never, most of my surgeries, I
Uh,
had mine earlier on was in Hostel Kuala Lumpur.
mhm,
And the 7 years old, I did it in Hall.
mm,
And then when I came back, Jalan Ipoh, and then I did a few with Dr. Kim Tan, and even
mhm,
in US. Maybe perhaps it's cheaper in Thailand or
yeah.
Korea. I've never been there.
I'm sure in one of your forum, one of these days, somebody's going to ask this question.
Maybe perhaps, yes,
Yeah,
yes. I've heard that
yeah,
in Thailand that they offer quite cheap revision or cosmetic surgery, but I
yeah,
tak pernah lah.
yeah. I asked this question because I want to share with you an experience. So I took my wife to Bangkok,
Mm,
and she's allergic to liquor.
okay.
So somebody served her just a very ordinary looking cocktail, okay, which looks like orange juice, okay. She drank it and soon she had terrible rashes.
Okay.
I had to take her to a hospital where English was spoken, and this was a hospital which was really like a 7-star hospital, okay. This
Wow.
looks like a hotel, okay.
Wow.
Okay, and
That's in
English was,
Bangkok. In
yes,
Bangkok.
yeah,
Okay.
English was spoken, every really professional, okay. And when I'm waiting, then just next door, I think they do this surgery, and at first I look at it and say, hey, this could be the man, okay, but they were coming out looking really good, okay. Now, of course, me being a newsman, I'm curious. I got to ask these questions, okay? How long did you do it? You know, how long does it take? You know, surgical operation is one thing, but of course, it was followed by psychological training, speech therapy, and the whole works, okay? And I realized at that point that they do very good plastic surgery, definitely.
Is this
So
a CLP patient or what?
I think CLP will be chicken feet for them.
Oh, no, but when you said you met this person, was he a CLP patient or no?
No. I think that they were going for what do you call it? What's the word to use? Okay, basically they're men. Okay, they want
I
to
know.
be women. Yes, yeah. Sex
Faham.
change.
Dekat
Okay.
dekat sana banyak. Dekat
Yeah.
yeah, it's amazing. I've been to Bangkok and
Yeah.
I've seen the show
Mm.
and where it's actually all
Correct.
men, but they've turned into women and
Yes.
wow, they look amazing. So yeah.
So it was from there I realized that when I read your book on this particular part of the surgery, my thoughts immediately came flashing back, okay, to Thailand. I would say that, oh, well, Nora went through this difficult period in a tough time, not 10 surgeries. I mean, Thailand, you have done quite easily. Well, I could
Actually,
be,
I've heard. I
yeah,
mean, I've gone to Bangkok. Like I said
yeah,
earlier, I'm seeing,
yeah,
the man becoming the woman, and
yeah,
wow. I mean, like amazingly
yeah,
gorgeous, and but tak pernah terfikir di dalam hati
yeah,
saya nak pergi ke sana because I'm
yeah,
over it already.
yeah,
My last
yeah,
surgery was about 20
sure.
over years ago. Yeah.
Yeah, because you know that it's always just a cost factor, okay, for many parents and even for many adults with this problem. What
Mm,
options do they have? Okay, so
mm.
I don't know exactly whether they'll be able to do this. Well, I would have presumed that it's quite a simple procedure for them. Now, this is what do you call it? Not a technical or a medical question, but
Mm.
more like what happens to people in rural areas? Okay, they may not have access or
Yeah.
information.
Yeah.
What do they do? If any of you
Yeah.
in states or in rural areas, perhaps you want to hear about what would you tell them if you are given a chance?
Okay, first and foremost, they are the government hospitals. You do know that the government hospitals
Yeah.
do the repair work for subsidize the repair work, so they can go to the government hospitals. But what they need to do is they need to go to the local clinic or clinic kesihatan, and if the child is born with a CLP, get a referral letter from just a normal clinic and telling the referral letter have to say that, hey, my child is, this baby is born, and with the clinic they can actually make an appointment to go to the government hospitals because the government hospitals do offer this treatment. But of
What a,
course,
yeah.
for those coming from a family that is able to
Mm-hmm.
go to a private hospitals, there are many private hospitals throughout, Kuala Lumpur, Selangor, Pantai Medical, Ampang
Mm.
Puteri, Subang Jaya Medical Center, all the private hospitals do have a plastic surgeon where you can go and get your further consultation.
So
But
for treatment,
those who are
sure,
able to afford the
sure.
private hospitals, yeah,
I mean, for what do you call it, for toddlers, the newly born,
babies,
the babies, for parents, what department in the hospital do they refer this case
plastics,
to?
plastic
Sorry.
surgeon,
Okay.
plastic
Okay.
surgeon,
All right. Okay.
yeah,
Now, what about? I mean, I've got friends, okay, and ex-colleagues, okay, whom I noticed they have this problem. I mean, they're now adults, okay. I mean, they're in
yeah,
their 40s or 50s, okay.
yeah.
They still have this physical deformity. At this particular age, 40s or 50s, can anything be done?
Boleh.
Okay.
Boleh. That is why I know when I do my interviews,
Mhm.
let me say this, Datuk Sri,
Yeah.
um some people, they only do the repair work, yeah, but they don't follow up with the revision work. And
Mm-hmm.
that's why you say that some of your friends, you can see the maybe the prominent of the
Yeah.
difference in their nose and in their lip. You've come across your own
Yeah.
circle of friends. But
Yeah.
again, I always say to these adults that never went further, it is again up to your own decision.
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm not here to
Sure.
tell you as a person, maybe you should go further.
Yeah.
But it is whether you want to or you don't want to. When I was 17, I told my mother that I want to go and do this rhinoplasty.
Mm-hmm.
And she says, of course, you want to
Mm-hmm.
go again? But you okay, what? But I said, I know that I want to do it,
Mm-hmm.
and luckily for me, my parents are very supportive.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, at the age of 17, I don't have financial independence. Tak ada
Sure.
duit kan, kita tak mana ada
Yeah.
duit kan, form
Yeah.
5, form 6 tak ada duit kan. Mother kata, okay, Nora, you nak pergi, okay, I'll
Mm.
bring it to you, my,
Sure.
family will pay and all that. But again, what I'm saying is that the adults that's 40 years old, they
Mm.
can go and do further refinement, but the choice again is entirely up to you,
Mm-hmm.
because you have your reasons as to
Yeah.
why you want to do it and why you don't want to do it. Yeah, but the answer to you, boleh mereka
Okay.
boleh pergi, they can go to the government hospitals, they can go to the private hospitals.
Never too late.
No,
Yeah.
never too late.
Okay. This is the part when I asked about your great leap forward. Okay. Suddenly, reading about your goals, your insecurity, that you have passed the university stage. You are grown up. You're a
I'm
wife.
a
You're a mother.
grandmother. I'm a
Okay.
grandmother.
Okay. Now,
I'm
and
a
then
grandmother.
now we are come to this part. You're speaking at seminars. You're motivating people. You're influencing. You're instilling, empowering people. I'm like, wow, this is the stage which is like, of course, led to the production of this book. Okay, now this particular stage. At what point you realize that, look, I can really speak on stage, okay, and I can actually change people's lives. Tell me this part of your life.
Like I said, if people were to pick up the book, if they read the book, I admittedly said that I had to go through a journey of self realization, self acceptance, understanding that, hey, this is my birth destiny, Nora, accept it, you know, and why I went for all these speaking training. I'm not the best speaker, mind you, but I'm trying, because I kind of felt that I actually love talking. That's weird.
Can
Pelik
I
ah.
put on the mic?
you know I mean, somebody born with this situation, maybe, I mean, I just love sharing my
Yeah.
experiences. I love talking about it because, like I said, maybe somebody out there may say that, hey, you know what, even though that Nora or anybody, what I'm trying to say is that do not let
Yeah.
anything stop you from becoming who you want to become, because at one point of my time in my life, I had children calling me A B
Mm.
C D, but then I realized that I'm not who they claim I am,
Mm.
so I decide that I wanted to do this. But again, I mean, some people, everybody's got their own dreams,
Yes.
Datuk Sri. Everybody
Yeah.
got their own aspiration, and everybody got their own desires to become what they want to become. So I'm just trying to say that do not allow anything, anyone, not even a CLP, to stop you from becoming the person that you truly want to become.
Yes.
But I do agree that self acceptance to some people, because we all have our trials, we all
Yes.
have our tribulations, and we all have our childhood incidences. Some people, mine was born with a CLP, but
Mm.
some people are born in
Yeah.
a poverty stricken
Yes.
family, or some people were born with a abusive
Yeah.
father, for
Yeah.
instance, or alcoholic father. But
Yeah.
if you need, you have to get out of that rut. You have to get of the route to move forward and to become that person. Because we all know if during our childhood incidences, experiences that are negative may stop you from moving forward to become that person. And I
Yeah.
say in the book very clearly that if you need to seek external help, it's okay. It is okay to go and look for external help. It's fine because I
Mm.
started my journey of self-actualization in 2000 with Robbins. I saw
Mm-hmm.
Robbins in Singapore, and then I heard Sharma when he came over to promote
Mm.
his book, The Monk Who His Ferrari.
Yeah.
And then I went for a few, coaching methodologies, NLP, because I wanted to help myself because I was having this issue with acceptance. But now I'm okay. And I said to myself, maybe this book can help
Yeah.
those people having with acceptance. Like I said, accepting yourself in any
Yeah.
forms, not just a CLP, but you know yourself.
Yeah.
You know what's inside you because everybody has their own story to
Yeah.
tell, you know, their own story. We know that.
So Nora, after the publication of this book and your many appearances on the talk show and
Ada banyak.
you be interviewed by by the media, how has the awareness and how has this what do you call it, these appearances help you and inspire you or push you further in this uh, awareness campaign that you want to do?
Yeah. Actually, the book, Datuk Sri, was
Yep.
in the market since October 19.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. We put it
MCO
in
lah.
we put it in October 19,
Okay, yeah,
and that was before the whole
right.
MCO and the COVID and all that. So the book was in actually still in MPH,
Okay.
Kinokuniya, Popular Times, and Borders.
Mhm,
And we also collaborated with E Central,
mhm.
which is a Malaysian version of Kindle, to format the book into a digital book.
Okay.
So some of you out there who is into digital book, they like to read your book through the iPhone, iPad, you can actually get it online via eCentral's platform. So when the book was in the market, I was invited to a few of the bookstores, which is Popular,
Mhm.
Times, Borders, to do, we had a book tour. That means meet the
Sure.
author and all that. And then suddenly the MCO came.
And
Kan.
yeah.
And okay, the book is in the bookstores. It's been
Mhm,
there since October 19. Then the MCO came, as you know,
mhm.
early last year. And what's going to happen now?
Yeah.
So we pivoted and then we started doing, online. People invited us to talk about Born to Smile because obviously I cannot go to the
Sure.
bookstores. We are all at home,
Yeah.
and that's what happened. So now the book has been in the market since October 19, and now we're in 21. The response has been people didn't know who Nora Abu Hassan was.
Mhm.
I'm not a celebrity. I'm not a famous singer. I'm not a famous, person.
Mhm.
So but I really appreciate the belief in the public out there who actually went to the bookstores to buy or even ordered
Mm.
online. I appreciate the fact that you have picked up the book and understood the my my vision behind Born to Smile, because this book is not about Nora Abu anymore, but this is a book about having a message out there about the anti-bully, the anti-discrimination, and like I said, since I did the book. I met some mothers,
Mhm.
lately after the book was published, that even in the 2020 last year, the children are still being mocked. The children are still being called names at
Mm.
school because of, having a CLP. And I really urge society out there to educate your children, not to look upon children who are different. This is a calling that's inside me to say out to society. And also, I met beautiful adults, not having maybe the revision, or even some of them have not gone for their speech therapy because of unforeseen circumstances, and sometimes they do get discriminated. Please give them a chance. you know I'm urging, please give them a chance, because I think society should understand that do not judge a book by its cover, because CLP is not an disability, but this is just an isolated case of CLP. Yeah, but again, it's perception.
Sure.
Perception.
Nora, of course,
Mm,
when you go for these talks, these seminars, there's always these frequently asked questions. Okay, I mean, the question will be more or less the same. Okay, now, have there been any questions or any experiences or moments when you met parents or kids where some of it have struck into your mind? Okay, because they are so hard to let go. I mean, it's like, wow, I didn't know that, or okay, this is really emotional and it's heart stirring. Have there been any such experiences or questions?
You mean by the parents or
Yeah, by
by
parents or
the?
anyone. Yeah.
Yeah, Datuk Sri, I've started doing my also my Smile with Nora.
Mm-hmm.
We started we started last year in December, but that was
Okay.
just we didn't really formatted it into Smile with Nora. So I've invited some of the Cleft adults to
Mm-hmm.
talk because I wanted them to come out and
Okay.
also say their experiences. Like I said, this is Nora Abu Hassan's story, but
Okay.
there are many adults out there who have their own story. So I want them
Mm-hmm.
to come and say what they went through,
Mm-hmm.
what are the experiences they went through, and
Yeah.
how with their experiences we can hopefully try to change. Like I said,
Yeah.
I know that there are amazing people out there
Yeah.
who doesn't look at difference in any
Mm-hmm.
different way, but maybe there would be maybe a small
Yeah.
section of society because whatever I went through, now I realize that these adults also went through the same thing. They went through the bullying, they went through the name calling, and some of them also was caught by teachers,
Wow.
educators. Yeah,
So sad. Yeah.
betul, betul. Because
Yeah.
I started to interview them and I wanted them to come out. So with their story,
Mm.
hopefully it will inspire society to have a little bit, have some change in the CLP community,
Yes.
the
Yes.
cleft and palate community. Yes. I want to give
So
them a chance and platform to talk.
absolutely, you're doing absolutely good work, and we hope that Born to Smile from more Malaysians or other Malaysians will be your next project. Okay, you are probably the first person. Okay, in my 36 years in this media business, I think that you are the first person to at least initiate this awareness campaign with in a bang. Okay, I'm sure there are others who have done it in a different way. Okay, but yours is really has been amazing.
Thank you
I
so much
really
for the
I really
excitement.
hope that Malaysians would really sit up and listen to you, the advice you can give, the sharing you are able to share. So thank you really, Nora, for giving
Uh-huh.
me almost 45 minutes of your time. Okay.
I enjoyed every minute of it.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Okay. We hope to do a part two at some point. Okay. We'll talk more about it. Okay. You
And I
have
would
my
love to bring my
thank you.
community with me the
Yes.
next time.
You have my support. Okay. I pledge my support. Okay. Saya janji.
Thank you so much. It has been such an amazing chat with you. I enjoyed every minute of it. And thank you for believing in Born to Smile's mission, Dato' Sri Wong.
Thank you, Nora. We will end this tonight's conversation with Nora, and to wish everyone the happy International Women's Day. Nora, you have been really inspiring to many women and men. Okay, so please like, share, and follow Nora Hassan and RealChunWai on social media. Thank you. Good
Thank
night.
you so much.
Great.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.